Good morning, everybody. I'd like to welcome you and thank you for joining this virtual meeting of the Finance Committee of the UFL Athletic Association Board of Directors. As we proceed with our agenda, please remember to mute your microphone when you're not speaking. I will now call the roll of the committee. Neely Bendapudi here. Eric Burson.
Here.
Beth Bain.
She's muted, but she said here.
Oh, yes. Beth, I think you're muted, but I see you.
All right, here.
That's all right. Dan Durbin.
Here.
Andrew Grubb.
Here.
Dennis Heischman.
Here.
Jasper Noble.
I'm here.
Sam Rector.
Here.
Brad Schaefer.
Here.
Karen Turner.
Here.
Elaine Wise.
Here.
All right. Having determined a quorum present, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And a reminder to everybody to mute yourselves again. Elaine needs to be muted.
I think I'm muted. I tried to.
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
There we go. Our first item of business is the approval of the minutes of the January 17, 2020 meeting. May I have a motion to approve? Great. That counts. Elaine moves. Is there a second?
I second. Karen Turner.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? The motion carries and the minutes stand approved. Our next item of business is the approval of the 2020-2021 ULAA operating budget. I now would like Vince Tyree and his team to walk us through the budget. Vince, would you please begin?
Thank you, Neely. As most know, we had a ULAA board budget workshop meeting just a couple weeks ago. No real changes in what we presented then, but still felt like we wanted to make sure we had all the materials that you saw in the packet that we delivered. So it's pretty redundant from what you've seen there. Had a couple follow-on questions that we've handled since, but with that being said, I know Jeff is prepared to kind of give a high-level view. If there's things you want to dig into detail, I don't want to bore you with all of it because we've been through it, and we had great board attendance for that meeting. But in the same vein, love to have Jeff kind of give a high-level view of, or a quick view of where we're going to finish this year, and then a high-level view of the budget for next year. Jeff?
Thanks, Vince. Sure. Just real quick on the budget. We went into a lot of detail in the actual process. We won't go back into that detail for this. Essentially, we started the process. We were about 109 million. And then after the COVID onset, we had to go back and revisit our revenue projections. So we basically went back and trimmed our revenue by about 15% or 14 million from 109 to 95. So it was a team effort to get to that point. So it was a challenge, but we accomplished it. And I think we have a good budget right now. So we'll continue to monitor the revenues as we go out throughout the year, because as everybody knows, this is a really fluid process going on right now. So we'll just be really diligent in monitoring our revenue and expenses once the fiscal year does start. So, and when we did the budget, when we cut the 14 million, our focus was on preserving the student athlete experience more than anything. So I talked a lot about this, or I tried to before my internet crashed, but we tried to preserve the student athlete focus by looking more at the administrative side and trimming those areas before we adjusted the sports. So again, we're seeking your approval today for this budget against 95.1 million. So if anybody has any questions, I'll turn it back over to Vince.
No, I appreciate that, Jeff. And if need be is, one of the things we're going to need coming up in fiscal 21 is results we're seeing in fiscal year 20. And right now, as we showed just a couple of weeks ago, that we were on pace for a profit in that 4 million plus for this year. We're still on pace for that. spending for the most part kind of wrapped up for this fiscal year. Not a lot left in the tank for May and June, as you can imagine. So we're going to need all those dollars to apply towards next year.
Are there any other questions or comments? Well, thank you, Jeff, and thank you, Vince. That item was for informational purposes only and requires no action. Having no other business to come before the committee, may I have a motion?
Did I write that wrong?
Are we going to do the approval here? Of course, of course. All right. So now I need a motion from the committee to approve the budget as presented.
So
Thank you, Sam. Is there a second?
second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you. The budget is passed from the committee and we'll present it to the board. And now, having no other business to come.
I'm sorry, I must have screwed up that script.
No worries. Don't worry about it. Okay. We have one more update on the ULAA financials. So Jeff, would you
Thank you, Neely.
please update us?
Sure, thank you. What you have in front of you is it's preliminary May. The month wasn't actually closed when we prepared this, but I think the numbers are pretty firm at this point. As you know, in our workshop, we provided April figures and a projection, and not much has really changed since then, nothing real material. Again, I hate to use the term fluid, but it's been a very fluid process. So just focusing on page 2, which I think is 29 of the board materials, we'll start with just the higher level summary of revenue. If you go down to the bottom, you'll see our operating revenues are about 86.2 million, which compared to last year, it's about 90 million in the prior year. So that decrease is really the result of one less football, one less basketball game, and then we had a large guarantee last year. So without those differences, our revenue would have came in strong on our operating side, comparable. So things are looking really good. And if you go across the board here, you'll see that almost all of our lines are either at budget or exceeding budget. So really good year so far on the revenue side. So far, we still have about 21 million outstanding. Our cash flow is kind of sporadic, so we have one final ACC payment coming in probably at the end of June, and we're anticipating about 21 million from that disbursement. In addition to that, we have some smaller items coming in, some receivables we're collecting on. But when all said and done, we're still projecting about 107 million in operating for the year. Overall, revenues through May were about 139 million compared to about 122 million last year. So as you can see on the revenue side, things are pretty strong. Despite COVID, I think we're still going to have a really strong year on the revenue. So before I go to the expense, does anybody have any questions on the revenue? Okay, so turn to page 3, or I think it's page 30. We'll look at the expenses now. Our operating expenses through May were about 97.6 million compared to 100 million 8 last year, about 101. So our operating expenses were down. Some of this is related to the spring sports, the travel. We had a lot of savings there in our last quarter, which has been beneficial to help us preserve our cash. So again, it's really fluid, but we're probably projecting another 5 or 6 million in June in expenses to hit. So overall, I still feel comfortable we're going to end the year with at least a $4 million surplus. And as Vince alluded to, any money we save at this year end will be applied back to some contingent liabilities we have next year. So doing so will allow us to help us trim from that 109 to 95 in our budget. So again, it's really important that we carry that 4 million over and apply that cash to those contingent liabilities in the FY21. As you can see, our restricted expenses are up a little bit over last year. A lot of that's just internal cash transfers that were offset on the revenue side. Overall, the total expenses was 142 compared to about 143 last year. So they're pretty even overall. Focusing on the net, this is something to be proud of here. The net through May was a deficit of 3.6 million compared to 21.2 last year. And if you remember last year, a lot of that 21.2 was payments for severance for our football coaches. So And with our cash flow being a lot on the back end, that 3.6 should swing to a positive by the end of June. We close out the year. So you can see there's quite a bit of improvement. That's about a $17 million swing there in our net position. So things are looking really good this year. And again, any savings we have this year will be applied to next year to help mitigate any kind of expenses we might have. So that's real high level. Does anybody have any questions on revenue or expenses? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeff. This item was for informational purposes only, and it requires no action. Having no other business to come before the committee, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. The meeting is adjourned. A reminder to everybody that the meeting of the ULAA Board of Directors will begin at 9:30. Thank you very much, and we'll see you shortly.
We're good.
Good morning, everyone. This is the regular meeting of the University of Louisville Athletic Association Board of Directors. I will now call the roll. Again, please speak up when your name is called and then immediately put yourself back on mute. We have a lot of participants and we'll cut down on the echo. Yes. All right. Jake, can you mute everybody by any chance? Or one more reminder, if you're not on mute, please mute yourself. Okay, all right. Tom Andrews is not here. Neely Bendapudi, here. Larry Benz.
Here.
Eric Burson.
Here.
Beth Bain.
Here.
Sheldon Bond. I'm going to wait between names so that people have time to put themselves back on mute, and hopefully that'll help. Jerry Bradley.
Here.
Ryan Bridgman.
Here.
Dan Durbin.
Here.
Ralph Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Andrew Grubb.
I am totally here.
I'm glad to hear. Don Heineken.
Here.
Dennis Heischman.
Here.
Steve Jones.
Here.
Tom Meeker.
Here.
Sharon Moore. Here. Jasper Noble.
Here.
Kayla Payne. Sam Rector.
Here.
Jim Rogers.
Here.
Shannon Rickett.
Here.
Shelley Santry.
Good
Me too.
morning.
Good morning. Brad Schaefer.
I'm here.
Karen Turner.
Here.
Michael Vore. Elaine Wise.
Here.
Ron Wright. Okay. There are a couple of people that I'd like to recognize right away. One is Jasper Noble. Jasper has been our incredible student body president. He has been wise beyond his years, I have to tell you, and his ears too. Beyond his years, he's been incredible, a great young man who will do incredible things with his life, I know. Jasper, would you mind telling us what your plans are coming up next?
Definitely, and thank you, Neely, and thank you everybody for having me this year. It's been a really wonderful opportunity. I've learned so much, and I'm really proud of everything we're doing and everything I know that the people who are coming after me are going to do. I've been accepted into Georgetown Law School in DC, so I will be taking a year off and working here in Louisville, so you won't be able to get rid of me that easily. But by August of 2021, I'll be moving to Washington, and I'm planning on going to law school.
I am so proud of you, and remember, you're a Cardinal forever. So even in Georgetown,
That's right.
I'm going to be reaching out to you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Neely.
Thank you. All right, everybody. And then Ben Barbary is going to be joining us in, he'll be on the committee going forward. Ben, are you on the call today?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Oh, Yes, we can. Welcome, welcome. We look forward to working with you. Would you like to tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, so I am a rising senior. I will be the academic vice president for the next academic year, and I study political science and economics, and I'm excited to get to work.
We are very, very excited to have you here. The caliber of our students is something that I'm deeply proud of, and I'd put our students against anybody, anywhere. I'm that proud of them and grateful that they're here. All right, having determined, huh? Oh, Sabrina's here too, fabulous. Sabrina, are you on the call?
Yeah, hi Neely, how are you?
Very, very, very well. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about you. Many people here already know you, but for those who don't, I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Sure thing. So my name's Sabrina Collins. This upcoming year, I'm serving as our student body president for SGA. I'm a rising senior majoring in political science with concentration in law and public policy and a minor in women and gender studies. And I'm really excited to be working with you all.
Sabrina will be an incredible addition, and I think that Jasper feels that the presidency is in good hands as it moves from him to Sabrina, and I certainly do. We look forward to working with you closely over the coming year. All right, everybody, thank you. Having determined a quorum present, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Our first item of business is the approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve? Thank you, Elaine. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor signify aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. Our next item is the report of the Personnel Committee. The committee met on May 29, and the charge for that day was to evaluate the athletic director. And of course, as part of that, to evaluate his associate athletic directors. Our AD, Vince Tyre, presented both a self-assessment and an assessment of his associates. He talked about how he and all of his senior staff went through a 360-degree review to evaluate strengths and to discuss areas of improvements. And he also shared with the committee his goals. And as you know, if you know Vince, it's not just about the prowess on the field. He also talked about community service, where we are #1 in the NCAA. GPA, we are at 3.5 overall. That makes us top of the ACC, which is a very rigorous, academically focused Power 5 conference, as you know. A graduation success rate of 91%, and also fundraising totals, which are at record highs before all of this began. Vince also updated the committee on the facilities, everything from assessment of current facilities, needs assessment, capital projects, finances, and of course, with a special focus on how all of these have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Then we asked him to leave the room while the committee discussed his performance. Now, the feedback that I received from the committee was overwhelmingly positive. Before I share with you what I told the committee about Vince and my assessment of him, I'd also like to tell you that there were other sources of feedback regarding Vince. Elaine Wise provided her give me a second, everybody. Sorry about that.
You know, that feedback choked me up too, Neely.
That was what it was intended to do. I was on conference calls for 14 hours yesterday. On calls. So that is what this is about. Elaine provided her observations in her roles as FAR and as chair of the Committee on Academic Performance. All board members made comments as well, all of which will factor into my performance appraisal of Vince. And I shared my feedback, which was that he is, I'm choking up, invaluable, and how key. Oh, thank you, Elaine. Elaine Wise to the rescue as always. Why am I not surprised? What I shared with the committee was that the committee, of course, focused on how the number one responsibility that Vince has, which is his lane, which is athletics. But what I talked about is how much he contributes beyond that, because I believe in a team where you help each other succeed. He's really such an integral part of my senior team. I need 1 minute. So the things about Vince that I mentioned are, he always talks about this quote, and I love it, how as individuals, we can operate from a sense of entitlement or from a sense of gratitude, and what a difference that makes. Vince truly operates from a sense of gratitude. I see that every day. There's nothing about him, even in the least, that talks about entitlement or speaks to entitlement. He runs such a transparent program, as you all know, inviting in people outside of athletics into anything that he would like to see. And I have asked him to serve on so many committees, take a lead on so many things that have nothing to do with athletics. And I hope that shows you how much he's impacting the whole university and not just athletics. As a reminder, per his contract, Vince's bonus is at the discretion of the president, and it's based on the 4-year academic progress rates for all varsity sports teams, the average graduation rate, the average cumulative GPA for all scholarship student athletes, the performance of the sports team, and the way in which the coaches and student athletes conduct themselves and represent the university, both on and off the field. Couple of other things, and you'll hear from Vince later. He's also taken quite a leadership role across the NCAA and certainly within the ACC. I am so grateful at this moment to have Vince on my team. I'd have him on my team anywhere. And so I am very, very, very thankful. And if you want more detail on what was said and how we assessed him, please watch the live stream of the committee meeting if you're so inclined. And that concludes the report of the Personnel Committee. A reminder that we changed Vince's contract again to make sure there's institutional control. I always talk to you about the many buckets that report up to me, the teaching, the research, the health sciences, the athletics. And so I will assess Vince, and I'm open to obviously hearing from all of you as well. That concludes the report of the Personnel Committee meeting. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them. Otherwise, I'm going to ask, let me give it a minute. Any other questions about the Personnel Committee meeting? As I said, all of the meeting is on live stream. You can go back and see that. If there are none, I'd like to have Vince begin his report. Vince?
Thank you, Neely, and I appreciate the kind words from the board and from yourself. It's certainly we've been able to accomplish a lot together, and I know that I've enjoyed the time. Your 2 years here with me and the university, so it's certainly been valuable in many ways. So I appreciate the invite to be on some of those other committees outside of athletics. It's certainly mentally stimulating to do that and to try to add value in other ways. So. As it relates to athletics, I think, as I noted on that same day, and I won't go through all the fun facts, but as we went through the review, and I went through the review of myself and the department, we were having just an all-around terrific year, and it was cut short by the pandemic, and it brought about a whole new set of challenges for our department. While the virus had a negative impact on many facets of the operation, I'm pleased to say that, as Neely noted, our student athletes continue to perform. I would say in the classroom, but it wasn't. It was online for the most part from there. But the 3.5 GPA is really a fantastic result. And, kudos to excuse me, Marvin Mitchell and his team for how they support all our student athletes. As for our financial performance, we went through that earlier in the finance committee. We're ending the year on a high note, still projecting around a $4 million surplus. But with that being said, we're now going to face one of the more financially challenging years in decades due to the impact of the COVID virus on live events, which include the athletic events that we get to support here. We forecasted a financial picture for next year that recognizes obviously some risk, but it certainly has the ability to heighten in the coming months if the re-socialization and methods to mitigate the spread of the COVID virus don't evolve. And that's what we're certainly paying attention to on a daily basis, as much as weekly, and we're discussing those at a conference level. And then obviously the NCAA has its input on that as well. But athletically, this was an outstanding year, possibly going to be our best one, being ranked 8th in the Learfield Cup standings, leading into the results of the winter and then spring sports with men's and women's basketball, as I mentioned, men's and women's swimming, baseball, preseason number one. And then obviously, if you watch the Major League Baseball draft this week, having Bobby Miller and Reed Detmers both drafted in the first round was really a great reward for the program. Their specific coach, Roger Williams, and Dan McDonald, our head baseball coach, just really a fun night. I was happy to share it with them and their families. Just really a neat thing. It's unfortunate they didn't get to finish their career in the way that we all anticipated, and that's bringing home the crown from Omaha this year. Community service, Neely recognized number one in the NCAA, and we're going to think about how we adjust that going forward for the better. Fundraising was tracking nicely, but with what we're looking at now is just people are a little bit pausing on their seat donations related to premium seats and suites. Monday is the due date for all those things, but I'm not naive to think that there won't be some hesitation as we round out our fiscal year end here at the end of June, and we'll watch and see how we come in on that. We also had a couple other nice donations in the wings that we've kind of tabled for the moment. We'll come back and discuss those at a later date. So on the capital projects front, we've made great progress in developing our master plan with the help of Populous. They're our third-party consultant. We've had meetings with them, but they've yet to, since all this has occurred, they haven't been on campus, but we've continued to make progress on many fronts. The Kieber Center is certainly a focus. Cardinal Stadium enhancements, particularly related to the virus, and a longer-term view of an indoor training facility for baseball that we were speccing out and would come back and have more on that. Populous will have a master plan for us for all our facilities along Floyd Street, as noted before, where we're need some deferred maintenance taken care of, as well as some enhancements, and that would entail maybe a capital campaign at a later date, but certainly not in this environment. As for our leadership team, I couldn't be more proud of how our team has really grown closer and grown professionally in this past year, but even longer than that, as we have done a lot of great things, a number of initiatives in the department, particularly as we developed our goals and values. So, we're operating at a high level of productivity, and I think the output is measurable in the many facets that I mentioned before, whether it be academics, community service, fundraising, athletically, et cetera. All is good. We continue to have an alignment of our decision-making with our goals and values. That's had a tangible impact on our operation and certainly our athletic success. Now those values are going to be tested in a couple new initiatives, and you're going to hear about a couple of those coming up with Dr. Pat Ivey speaking, our Associate AD of Student Health and Performance, and then Alyssa Murphy is going to speak on what we're doing in the community and elsewhere right now during this time of challenge. So we'll talk about return to campus, and then the second being, the development of a strategic plan related to our diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're taking a similar approach, team approach, in attacking, racial equality as we did in developing our goals and values. And when we developed our goals and values, we had 5 goals, and the 5th one was talking about an intentional effort towards diversity, equity, inclusion. And when we did that a couple of years ago, we started shifting some of the things we were doing inside the department, even related to community service, and we'll continue to shift further. going forward. But right now, the challenge with our team, we'll have a quick to listen and slow to speak approach. As we host a number of forums coming up, and we've had some, we're going to have more with our student athletes and staff related to diversity, equity, and inclusion. The forums will be of varied groups, whether it's the athletic teams, whether it's staff, whether it's simply Black staff and student athletes that are in forums by themselves. And some of those I'll participate in, and some of them I'll allow others to lead, so that I don't squelch the conversation with either my title or authority or frankly, even my color. And I think that those will be really valuable. The initiatives to deal with racism and defeat it need to be organic, and they don't need to be as forced or opportunistic as you might have seen recently. But I think that's the way we developed our goals and values. We went around and met. We brought it from all the way through the organization. It was organic, and that's where we need those initiatives to come from, those conversations and those forums, as we're listening and not speaking during that time. Also, they got to be strategic, sustainable, and measurable. And that's the thing that's important here too, is the kind of the talk leads to action, if you will. But it's going to be organic, and we'll blend our professional and personal experiences of our staff and our student athletes. And there's no secret. Everybody's looking at athletics right now, and certainly some of the top of the professional athletes to make a comment. But I think we want to make some bold moves to improve our culture, and our team needs to make. We've done it in the past, but we got to make similarly strong, intentional moves to create the change that I believe our community wants as much as what our athletic department and university want. So I recognize this isn't the Black community can resolve all this on its own, or it would have been resolved. I'm cognizant that I'm a white leader in this community and have the ability to affect change and plan to do so. If the staff and the student athletes aren't clear on where I stand and my support, they certainly will be in real soon. But they have to understand how much I love them and respect them and respect their opinion as we continue to improve as a department. And then the leader has to be strong enough to have enough conviction to set the tone in this department. And I think I've tried to do that in all the decisions we've made here, and will continue to in this effort. But as we move forward and further address diversity, equity, inclusion, we will expand the education and training. We'll certainly expand our community engagement and shift some of our community service areas of focus. We'll increase our philanthropy, whether it be individually or through the department. We'll expand our collaboration with campus, as that's key, where there's a lot of talent to help us. And that's all necessary in order to really exercise racism from our minds, words, and actions. And we've invested a great deal of time in this department on empathy training and intentionally incorporating diversity, equity, inclusion in our goals and values. We went through that training as a group a couple years ago and leading through the last year. And boy, are we applying that training now. So we're challenging our team to dig deeper, on a powerful cause here that will have a different kind of return on investment on our team's time, talent, and treasure, to use the church words. But we've got each other's backs and expect the board to have ours too. And, we anticipate making a difference with you together. So I know that's a little bit of a soapbox comments there and so forth, but certainly want to make you aware we're cognizant of what's happening and where we are in our community, and being thoughtful about the steps we'll take here, have taken, need to improve upon, and will take moving forward. But with that, I think Neely, we can, unless there's questions there, certainly happy to answer. We can move forward and have the next part of the presentation come up with Dr. Pat Ivey.
Thank you, Vince. I appreciate it. And I am so eager for all of you to hear from Dr. Ivey. He has already been an incredible addition to our team, and I would like all of you to see and hear from him directly. Pat?
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be with you all. Thank you for having me. Just to start out, before we talk about our campus, return to campus plan, I think it's important to note that because of Vince and the leadership team, it provides a culture and an environment where we can act and be nimble. And, as Jeff mentioned earlier, we have a lot of fluid situations, but because of the people we have, we're able to come up with a plan and adapt and adjust accordingly. The health and performance team has been working diligently, which consists of sports medicine, sports performance, sports nutrition, sports science, mental health, and mental performance, along with a few other areas, including equipment and facilities, just to come up with a plan to bring our athletes back to campus. Matt Summers has been very instrumental, and he's our director of sports science, in putting together documentation and just making sure we're tracking all of the additions, subtractions, and adjustments we're making. We've been working with Dr. Kevin Gardner and Dr. Philip Broussard on campus and others. It's been a true wonderful team approach. So we've come up with a phased approach. It started out with 4 phases, but as of yesterday, we just added 2 more. So it's like we said, it's constantly changing, which is why you had 2 documents from me, because we've been meeting with our medical doctors on campus as well as Norton Healthcare, and just trying to make sure we're staying up with what the NCAA is, the information that they're giving us. So if you can pull up the document and share the screen. There we go. Is that the one that I sent you? That's not the document I have in front of me, but we can, is there another document that I sent?
Yeah, let's check on that. I thought that.
Yes, he's pulling that up. Give us
Okay.
a second. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it should be the one that has the, it's outlined, it should be 3 pages. Yeah, there we go, perfect. So phase 1, which started 2 weeks ago on June 1st, we brought 60 of our athletes back. The plan was to test them as soon as they got back to campus and get those results back, and then conduct physicals, which we did on the 4th, and we retested them this week, which is the 2nd week of phase 1. And everything is going really smooth with U of L Health and Norton Healthcare. So it's been a good start, and we needed to have a good start. We brought back men's basketball players, women's basketball, 30 football players, and 15 swimmers, just allowing them to swim in the natatorium. We are not opening the Marshall until next week, which is phase 2. So starting next Monday, we're looking at bringing 60 more athletes back. Men's soccer, women's soccer, volleyball, and field hockey. We will bring them on the 15th. We'll test them on the 16th, do physicals on the 18th, and then do the COVID testing again. That process is going really well. We have like a drive-through service to do the COVID testing. Vince was actually the first one to have the swab stuck in his nose. So leading by example, as always. We also brought in 15, we'll bring in 15 baseball players and 15 softball players, just giving them access to their own facilities, to their fields. And we'll also open up the Marshall weight room, allowing those athletes to start using the weight room. We're testing coaches and staff, those that'll be around our athletes. That was really important to our coaches, to our athletes, just making sure that everyone around, we know it's a safe environment. So next page is phase 2 plus. That's it's in there somewhere. So there, page 2 plus is missing. We'll bring back football players on June 29th, and then we'll test them on the 30th and July 8th, doing physicals on July 1st. Their return to activity date is important because the NCAA has made some adjustments. So you're not seeing this right now on your screen, but that's okay. Phase 3, we will start July 7th, do testing on the 8th and the 15th, and then on the 10th, we'll do physicals. So just go back to the previous document. That's fine.
To Pat's note, literally we're getting changes.
Yes.
And there'll be more coming related to when the student athletes can get back on campus and when they can start activities, and not only when they can start activities, whether they're voluntary or whether they're with coaching support. And there was some announcements last night again that'll come out from the football oversight committee. So there's more coming on fall sports. This is literally going to be a week by week process, which is challenging Pat and his team to continue to respond.
Yeah. So yeah, phase 3 and 4 are really fluid. I think what is something that is just as challenging as how we are going to bring our international student athletes back. So we started a subcommittee for our international student athletes, and Lauren Rusk, who's in our compliance office, is chairing that committee, just trying to make sure that we have people on both committees and we're communicating back and forth and communicating with campus as we're working with housing and dining and all of these, the student affairs. It's a big operation to bring our athletes back. We have the right people. The communication is going well, and so far so good, and we want to keep it going. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Vince, do we have Alyssa ready to present too?
Alyssa's ready. She has the biggest smile on campus, as you can, if you can see her on the video screen. This is the way she is all the time. So, you know, she leads a lot of our efforts with our, you know, development of our student athletes. They get to meet Alyssa first when they arrive on campus, start talking about career planning and a number of things, and then obviously with our community engagement. You know, we much like Neely talks about having those can help in other areas outside of their job title. This is another one. So we're very proud of Alyssa, and love hearing her. She leads us many ways. So you get to see it firsthand this morning. Alyssa?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. And for those that don't know me, again, my name is Alyssa Murphy. I serve as the Director of Student Athlete Leadership and Development. I've been at the university for 15 years, actually, and spent the first 10 in undergraduate admissions before I moved over to athletics. I did want to point out my umbrella of responsibility. I'm also part of the academics team, so I work in collaboration with all of the academic advisors and report to Marvin Mitchell, also with all of our learning specialists as well. So I'm excited to share with you the areas that I manage and oversee, and I believe that Jake will be able to bring up a presentation with some information that I can share with you. And then you also received 2 handouts. So those handouts are just meant to supplement the presentation so that for some of the graphics, it's a little easier to read those by themselves. But Jake, are we able to pull that up?
Yes, he just pulled it up.
Great. Thank you so much. So again, my area is called Student Athlete Leadership and Development, but we have tagged it beyond the buzzer. And truthfully, that is because that just happened in the last year, really to help our student athletes understand that everything we are doing with them, working with them, is intended to support their development for when they complete or retire from their athletic life. So whether that's right after they finish at the University of Louisville and have their degree, or it's after a professional athletic career by choice or because of injury or some other reason, we want to make sure that there's a smooth transition. So we are focused on life skills, leadership and career development, and community engagement. Thank you. So today I'm just going to cover a little bit about what we provide for student athletes, the curriculum that leads us in that development of our students, highlights from this year, which I'm really excited to share with you, what we've been doing since our students have been away from campus or since COVID-19 has impacted our academic year. And then really what we've been doing in support of our student athletes as we've been very focused on racial injustices, equalities, and violence in general. So, and then I'll have time to give you some information about what we're doing moving forward and answer any questions. So you should have received this graphic ahead of time, and I actually think maybe your pyramid is flip-flop, where the freshman year is at the top and the senior graduate is at the bottom, but the information within the triangle is the same. What I wanted to point out is that this is what we share with recruits and prospective student athletes and their families as well to explain how we interact with our student athletes in terms of the Beyond the Buzzer team. And we have an excellent assistant director as well, Monica Negron, who is a graduate of the University of Louisville and also a former lacrosse player as well, very well recognized for her accolades as a student athlete. But what you can see in each one of those categories, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, and grad students, is how we build on those areas of focus. So really, truly, this is an individual experience for each of our student athletes. We work one-on-one with student athletes. We work with teams specifically based on what coaches and students and captains are asking us to do. And then we offer programmatic experiences for all student athletes. And that bottom bar shows you some of our student athlete leadership groups. So very similarly to general recognized student organizations, we do have student organizations that are specific to our student athletes. And those provide opportunities as well for leadership development, for being able to explore and learn from others, to connect with professionals in our community, and to provide leadership in terms of being a liaison between the student athletes and our athletic administration, to the ACC conference and also to the NCAA. So again, this is just trying to give you an idea of some of the programs that we provide with to and with our student athletes, but also some of the actual concepts that we are working on year after year to help grow and develop wonderful, active graduates from the university. We can move forward. So here are some of our highlights from this year. Actually, I know Vince and Marvin received a 40-page document highlighting everything that we did over the year, but I just wanted to give you some wonderful summaries about some of what happened. And so here you'll see, I just wanted to highlight that we participated, we as in the athletic department, were really involved with the Cards Come Together initiative from the university, and that was a day of service as part of homecoming week. So we had over 100 student athletes that were divided out into the community, participating in different service experiences, but not just our student athletes, our staff and our coaches were involved as well. And I think that was one of our best opportunities to be great partners with the entire campus community and the city of Louisville. So that was something we are really proud to participate in, and Monica served as part of that planning and execution committee. The financial literacy piece is really important for us to continue to provide education and exploration for our student athletes. We try to make it very individualized and real for them and their lives on campus and after. So we talk to them about their monthly budgets and what they're spending and how they can be saving a little bit every month so that they have something once they graduate to be able to tap into. We have highlighted some mobile money apps. We've had professionals come in. We've had folks from different financial institutions and financial planning. We've done small group experiences. This is something that actually is required for all of our junior student athletes. So although we continue to provide education at other times, for sure our junior students have that experience at some point during that academic year. The gender violence education and prevention piece was a significant program that we had this year, and we worked with the Institute for Sport and Social Justice with a program they call Huddle Up. So all student athletes participated in these small breakout sessions, and our coaches and staff also were participating in the experience. We had trainers come and facilitate education and understanding resources, understanding behavioral choices, all related to gender violence prevention, being advocates for each other, and really opening their eyes to things going on around them and how to support one another. So again, this was something that all of our student athletes participated in during the 2019-2020 academic year. A couple other things that aren't on this, but I just could not miss having an opportunity to tell you about it. We had our first UPS Sophomore Leadership Academy, which we're very thankful to UPS for their partnership, and allowed us to have all of our sophomores for half of a day experience 6 different breakouts, and they participated in all 6. And some of those breakouts included Myers-Briggs type indicator understanding, diversity, inclusion, implicit bias training, grit and resilience. Dr. Ivy facilitated that workshop. Conflict management, because they need those tools to work well with their teams, and a few others. So we had 6 breakouts and a keynote speaker from UPS come. And then we ended that day with a networking lunch of professionals from UPS in our Thornton's Academic Center. And really, that was a wonderful opportunity. The first time we've done it. We will be trying to move forward to do it again. Although we are planning for virtual or in person, just depending on what we feel we're comfortable doing this coming fall. And the other piece I wanted to just tell you, and it's fine to move on to that slide, but I just wanted to tell you about these career conversations we've been having with professionals in the community, where they come to the Thornton's Academic Center and have lunch one-on-one or with 2 student athletes to talk about the work that they do, how they got there, and what advice they can give to our student athletes, recommendations for practical experiences while they are still in college, and so forth. And that's been a really great opportunity to bring professional folks into our athletic facility. I know Vince mentioned this slide that you're looking at in terms of our service, and I know President Bendapudi did as well. We are so proud of our student athletes' engagement in the community. This certainly is a core value. And when I meet with recruits, I say, you know, you're going to come here and be part of this community. You serve as a role model. We are committed to giving back to the city in so many ways. And so just to highlight a couple of things here, the picture on the left is when our student athletes received their recognition from NCAA, ACC about being #1 in terms of community service and engagement in terms of hours. So you can see that we had just over 11,000 validated hours of service from April 2019 to April 20. And that time frame is based on our awards that we do each year. So that's why it's April to April. But 10 of our teams placed in the top 10 in Division I sports for service, and all of those are listed here. I can't tell you enough how involved our student athletes are, that they often are finding their own ways to connect and telling us, okay, I'm going to do this, or our team is going to participate with this group. You can see who some of our most significant partners in the community have been. And one of our goals this year was to write 22,000 letters for JCPS for children that were taking the K-Prep test. Last year we had enough letters for 3rd through 5th grade, and this year we're trying to get everybody. So we had already written 15,000 letters at the point at which it was determined there wouldn't be a K-Prep testing on the calendar this year. So we're going to use those letters for next year and get all the way to 22,000. So every student in JCPS will have a note of encouragement. And then I wanted to just highlight some of what we've been doing during COVID. As someone who likes to be face-to-face with our student athletes, surrounded by our student athletes, this has been a challenge for me, for sure. But what we didn't miss a beat, really. What we did is convert meetings and programs that we were planning to have in many ways just to virtual spaces. We continued with community service in a virtual way by recording some of our student athletes reading books for elementary school children, and then presenting that online on Tuesdays. We had a group of student athletes that had been pen pals with elementary students over the academic year, and they had a Zoom meeting before the end of the school year. We have partnered with our mental performance and mental health athletics staff to provide mental health strategies. We were sure that so many of our student athletes were really feeling anxious as things were changing so quickly and they were in a different environment than they had planned to be. So that information and those resources we sent out, we have utilized all of our social media platforms to provide information to student athletes, to give resources, to grow our resource list and keep that list in a place where they have access to it. And then I'm really excited because all of the ACC, my colleagues that do similar work to me, we have really come together to create opportunities for all ACC students to be involved in programs. And some examples of that are a virtual career track that Virginia Tech led, but it was all student athletes could participate. And then we're getting ready to unveil our professional development academy for 6 weeks, one afternoon a week, that we're focused on personal development, leadership development, and career development. And that is really a collaboration across all of the schools. And then I wanted to make sure to address what we've been doing right now. This has been a challenging time, and we have had some very difficult conversations, one-on-one with students, with video meetings with teams, staff, and there are so many of our students that are hurting directly, and I would say that's very specific to our African American Black student athletes. And our task is to help amplify their voices and let their stories be heard, and to help others move past performative allyship. So how to be an active ally, how to have meaningful discussions, how to create spaces where these critical conversations can be happening. We have participated, staff and student athletes, in some national athletic open forums and Twitter chats, and those have really been great. But we are working with our student athletes, specifically from some of our organizations, SCORE and SAC, to coordinate our own student athlete town hall in the next couple of weeks with some facilitators from campus and the community, and then continuing to provide resources so that people feel like they can educate themselves instead of relying on others to educate them. This is not, an end-all be-all list. This is just examples of what we're doing now, and I am excited because I know we are going to be taking so many great steps moving forward. But this is an important core value of athletics as well, and I know of the university, and so I'm looking forward to how we are moving forward. I will say, having these very difficult conversations is challenging virtually, and so I look forward to when hopefully we will all be back soon together and being able to have these deep conversations where I can look you in the eye and be face to face, and our students feel that way too. So just moving forward, I wanted to let you know, as we prepare for the 2021 academic year, I'm really trying to plan for virtual experiences and in person, because in some ways I actually think our student athletes are enjoying being able to do some of these things from where they are right now, whether that's their bedroom, their kitchen, their living room, their team facilities. So I want to take advantage of having multiple opportunities to engage. And then I'm also very aware of budget and resources. So we are working to be very collaborative across campus and in the community so that we can save in terms of financial resources as well. I know that's a lot of information, but I'm happy to answer any questions, or Vince, if you think I should add anything else, just let me know.
it's hard to tell that Alyssa loves her job.
I do love my
No, I mean, this is, she gets to gush on all these topics when we have our student athletes together, and there's nobody who misses the face-to-face with our student athletes probably as much or more than Alyssa, because she's around them every day in the Thornton Academic Center, and she's a go-to for them in many ways. So we appreciate that. No, this is all good stuff, Alyssa, and we certainly are, utilizing Alyssa more than ever today. In our cause here, we certainly have a committee that I've put together in our department to focus on a number of our initiatives around diversity, equity, and inclusion. But she's a great voice, but more importantly, she's a great ear to our student athletes right now. So that's helpful. Thank you, Alyssa.
Thank you very much.
James, there was one question, if you would quickly address that.
Yeah, I was going to go back to that. So Tom Meeker was asking about the fan experience for football and basketball coming forward in the fall. We're unclear on what that's going to mean today. We see that restaurants are opening up slightly, going from 33 to 50% in the state. We're seeing it vary in other states. Some are already talking about progressing quicker. Many are ahead of us at 50%. Some are already talking about a full opening, but live events are different. We're certainly staying close to what others are doing in our state and outside our state. But most recently, we've been focused on when are we going to get back to full practice, contact practice. And that's where there's been discussion, and you'll see some things in the news. Maybe today, there may be some leaks on that or in the coming days about what the plans are around football practice. And that will kind of dictate how leading into the intention of games kicking off, quote unquote, on time. And as of right now, our intention is still that we'll be kicking off with North Carolina State the first week of September. But what that looks like right now is we're preparing for just the natural safety measures that we can take in terms of spacing, or, I've got my Adidas mask that I wear, around campus and to and from office. But it may be that we all have our mask on while we're entering the stadium and going to the restroom and going to concessions. But when you're in your seat, you don't have it on. We've been in training. There's national seminars that are going on that I'm attending on are we going to take temperature testing? There are climate controlled measures, green and red, to get people in. And where do you do that? Because you may not want to do that where you check the tickets and go through the security scanning metal detector, because that would just slow things up further and bunch people closer together. So we're looking at spacing on the concourse, potentially adjusting where kiosks are. We're looking at spacing and traffic flow in the stadium, whether there's one-way traffic or not, so that we can mitigate a variety of things once you enter the facility. I could go on a list of initiatives we're looking at, but we've not been given an edict at this point that we're going to be less than our typical capacity. I think it's realistic to think about less, and that's why we've been cautious about with our season ticket holders that right now we're not going to have the mini game packs and the single game packs go on sale until we're clear on where we are with some kind of direction from the state, otherwise related to capacity. But it feels, I think you can read it in the paper, and it feels like everyone's heading in that 50% or more direction right now, and not below it. But that too could change as Pat Ivey mentioned. We're adjusting on a daily basis. But we do have some thoughts in mind. We had some initiatives in place for the stadium already. They happen to be COVID friendly. We hope we can get those accomplished before we start adding more gates, expanding concourse, and things like that. But if we have to spread out in the seats, we'll do that as well. And I think it's pretty clear that there's a high level of interest from all the surveys going on that people are willing to take that at-risk, at-will approach to attending live events. As we're seeing that now with NASCAR opening up and other events starting to open up attendance in their venues. But we've got 2.5 months till we kick, and I'm certain it'll look different than what I'm describing today.
And it's an evolving thing, Tom. We're monitoring it, and we'll keep all of you posted. Clearly, in my calls with the ACC presidents and others, this is always an issue, and we'll definitely keep you updated. Thank you, Vince. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Alyssa. I really appreciate all of you and the good work that you are doing. Next is the report of the chair. And I wanted to take a minute and address a couple of things before I acknowledge a couple of other people that I wish to. First of all, as you heard from Alyssa, and you've been watching, the whole issues of racial equity, inequity are very much forefront for all of us, especially in education. And COVID-19 actually laid bare those fault lines in our system, those that we have to look at and we have to examine. Two things that I'd like to say about that. Hopefully, I've been trying to keep all of you updated. So when I send communications, Jake has been sending them to all of you on the ULAA board as well. So just maybe two quick comments. One is I wanted everybody to understand why, especially on college campuses, the Black Lives Matter, and how it does not mean only Black Lives Matter, but it's really a plea to say Black Lives Matter too. And the analogy I would make for most of you, because this, if you haven't been around it, wrestling with it, it's not as clear perhaps. So if you recall, after the Boston Marathon massacre that happened, all of us changed our Facebook profiles or whatever they call it to Boston Strong. And at that time, it's not saying, well, what about my city? Why not Louisville Strong? It's an acknowledgement that this one part of society needs attention and we want to focus on it. Or Father's Day is coming up in a couple of weeks. So when people say, hey, happy Father's Day, it's not like everyone says, how dare you put down mothers? So that's what I want to share with you, that it's really saying we've got to pay attention. One more thing I want to say there is that certainly the issue of police treatment has been in the news and has received attention. But as a university, I'm an educator, I'm a teacher, and as part of what we all do at a university is try to educate ourselves. Our goal is to look at all the facts, look at what's happening. So I would posit that the bigger problem that we all have to address is that there are very, very real inequities that in this great country, it cannot and should not be the case. So I'll give you all a pop quiz. I've been doing this with every group. You don't have to call out answers, but I just want you to answer this for yourself. Let us say, and I'll keep it simple, if the median net worth of a white household in the United States is $100, to make it simple. So it's $100. Ask yourselves what the median net worth of a Black household in this country is. Okay, I'm giving you all a minute to come up with your answer in your mind. So if it's 100, where is it for a Black household? So if you guessed, well, it's half, it's 50, you're wrong. If you guessed, well, it's a fourth, it's 25, you are wrong. It is 1/10, and that's the median. And if you look at the mean, it's about a fifth, 5 to 100. So for the median, as you know, it's 100 to $10. And so that's the issue that we need to tackle together. I bring that up because whenever something comes up and you want to address it, you've got to be true to your mission. So my mission as the president of the university is how do we leverage education? Because education is the only reliable path out of poverty. Certainly someone could be a superstar singer or athlete, and that certainly changes some lives. But if you want to systemically address this, it's education. And I'll stop here, but I want you all to know that you are the first board that I'm able to present this to. I am fully committed to more need-based scholarships. It's already part of our strategic plan, as you know. And my next big thing for this fall is to work on digital inclusion. So please, I will keep you posted, because it's not enough if we bring a young person into this university. There's about 500 to 700 of them. I know it's a big range. We're trying to narrow it down, but we know it's a minimum I will go ahead and say 700 to be on the safe side. We'll have 700 freshmen that are coming to us this fall that we need to make sure they have a laptop with Wi-Fi and where we pay their data plan for a year. So that's something that's really near and dear to my heart, and I'm working on it. So I just want you to know that for us, for low-income households, that the greatest promise is education, and that's why I came here, and that's what we'll work on. And once again, a reminder to all of you, at the University of Louisville, this need is much greater because about 40% of our students are Pell eligible. And that is about 4 times as much as any other university that I have been at, and twice as much as it is at UK. So 40% Pell, that tells you the extent of the need we have. So anyway, with that, I want to recognize Shelley Santry because this is her last meeting. She'll be rolling off of our ULAA board. And so could you all join me in giving her a round of applause, a thank you, and saying that we'll continue, she's still on our faculty and we'll be working with her and hope to see her again. Involved with athletics. She cares deeply about it. And finally, it's my job to wrap this up with the report of the chair. This is our last meeting of the fiscal year. So normally we have the FAR present the end of the year report. And it should be no surprise to any of you that Elaine Wise dutifully prepared her report, and we sent it to all of you in advance, and I told her to be prepared to walk us through this. However, Elaine Wise, we are changing things up a little bit. You still need to be muted.
You're too loud. It's okay.
All right.
I'm muted.
Apparently,
no,
okay. We are social distancing, I want you to know. It's bittersweet for me to announce that this is Elaine's last ULAA meeting as faculty athletics representative. And please bear with me. You've got to give me a little time. I want you to listen to this. For the past 22 years and in 4 conferences, Elaine has held this position. And I think you'll all agree that she has done a superb job representing the university with the NCAA on all issues of integrity and compliance. And I talked to a lot of people leading up to today. And one thing I hear is that it's Elaine's own integrity that has helped her and helped us in this role. She has chaired the Committee on Academic Performance just as long, and I know how important this is to Elaine. She does her very, very best to monitor, but not just monitor, improve the academic performance of every single one of our student athletes. She has been integral to our oversight of athletics. As you know, in her role, and I've talked to her about this, how many presidents and provosts she's seen, and she's worked with them, as well as athletic directors. She has done an outstanding job. And one thing, again, I like to remind you is that the FAR, the key part of that, you see the athletics representative part of it, but what really she is faculty. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about her academic contributions. I understand from reliable sources that she is one of our students' very favorite English professors. And yes, I have my sources. And the lasting impact she's had on Cardinals through her fantastic lectures into the worlds of Shakespeare and medieval literature. And here is a few little other snippets about Elaine. And you have known her a lot longer, but I can tell you that in 2 years, I've truly come to respect and admire her. As the kids say, she's one of my sheroes. Yes, that's a she hero. For those of you to whom this is new, because that was new to me. She's a lifelong resident of Louisville, earned her bachelor's degree in English from Agnes Scott College, where she was, of course, is this any surprise to anybody, Phi Beta Kappa. She earned her master's degree in English literature on a Woodrow Wilson fellowship at Indiana, and then joined our faculty in the Department of English. And she served as chair of the Division of Humanities from 97 to 2016. She is a glutton for punishment. Anybody who's been chair of an academic department will absolutely attest to that. In 1990, she was named the university's Distinguished Teaching Professor. In 95, the Carnegie Foundation Kentucky Professor of the Year Award. 2005, received the University of Louisville Trustees Award for her service to students. 2009, the recipient of the Tower Award in Education. 2015, recipient of the National Women and Girls in Sports Awards. 2016, ANS gave her the Career of Service Award. 2017, the University Distinguished Service Award. And she served on Faculty Senate, the University Club Board, the Graduate Council, ANS Committee on Planning and Budget, and as parliamentarian for the ANS Faculty Assembly. There are so many other things about this remarkable, remarkable woman. I will tell you that in addition to all of these, she's found time to be faculty liaison to Student Senate, an advisor to Motor Board Senior Honorary Society. In the community, she's been very active with the Montpelier Committee of Sister Cities of Louisville and serves on the board of the English-Speaking Union. Elaine and her husband Barry have a daughter, Amanda, a graduate of Wellesley College and our own UFL Brandeis College of Law, School of Law, sorry. And she resides in Chicago with her husband Greg and children Matthew and Audrey. And I understand that Elaine has a Danish son that I'm now very curious to meet, Peter Preisler, who resides in Nashville with his wife, Melissa, and their children. One of the things that I kept hearing about was Elaine and her coin, that she passes a coin around. And it turns out, of course, it's Elaine. Minerva, as you all know, I hope you know, is the Roman goddess of wisdom. But she's also known as Athena, the Greek goddess. But I had to look it up because Elaine here actually prefers Athena. And I kept wondering why. Well, I had to literally look it up. So Minerva is just the goddess of wisdom. But Athena, I can't say this, what the kids say now, but she is actually pretty remarkable. She's the goddess of both wisdom and warfare, because Elaine knew that wisdom without action doesn't get us very far. So when we talk about fighting the diseases of COVID-19 or racism or whatever next comes up, Elaine Wise is ready to do battle with all of those, as she has shown. And I could go on, Elaine, and we'll talk this. I'll give you all a chance. I want you to show you all. There we go. Elaine just gave me a replica of the coin that she gives of Athena. And I promised her that I will carry this in my purse. Those of you who know the military honor coin, when you shake hands and someone gives it to you, if people ask you to show that coin and you don't have it on you, you have to buy people the adult beverage of their choice. So Elaine, whenever you see me, when I have my purse, you can ask me to show you this coin. And if I don't, I'm ready to buy you an adult beverage of your choice anytime. So with that, we have a video. We're not done yet. So let me show a video about Elaine that we'd like all of you to enjoy. You gotta show it. I'm gonna ask you to speak. Show it.
Hi Elaine, on behalf of the U of L Field Hockey Program, coaching staff and student athletes, congratulations.
Elaine, just want to say congratulations on an incredible run as our faculty athletics.
Hey Professor Wise, Rachel Floric here from Women's Lacrosse. I just want to take the time to say thank you so much for everything that you've done for not only the athletic department, but our team.
I would like to thank Elaine for all of her years of service. As far as I'm concerned, she's U of L Athletics royalty.
There is no one that I would rather have helping me revise wise corporate bylaws than you.
I just want to say thanks to Barry and you for all you've done on behalf of U of L and U of L Athletics. We wish you the best going forward.
You're an outstanding liaison between our faculty and the athletic department, and we're absolutely going to miss you.
Elaine, thank you for 22 years of wonderful service.
Hey, Dr. Wise, I just want to thank you for all that you've done for our university and to let you know that we truly appreciate all of your commitment and support for us.
Thank you, Elaine, for your years of service here at the University of Louisville. I have always appreciated your dedication, commitment, and desire to help our student athletes in all that they do.
Elaine, congratulations on 22 outstanding years as our faculty athletic rep.
Thanks, Elaine, for serving as our FAR and being a great supporter of Louisville athletics for all these years.
Elaine, thank you for being such a wholehearted leader to us over the last 22 years.
Thank you for being there for me over the last 21 years I've been here. Thank you for being there for our students, for our administration, for our coaches. You have truly transformed the role of faculty athletic representative.
Hey Elaine, it's Gabby Cazellas from Louisville Women's Soccer, and I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you've done for our team. You are very loved and will be deeply missed.
It's been a privilege to work alongside you the last 7 years since I joined U of L, and have seen your steadfast commitment and support to student-athlete well-being.
Hey, Dr. Wise, I wanted to make this message to thank you for all you've done for our university the past 22 years. You will be greatly missed next year and all the years after that, and I wanted to wish you good luck on all of your future endeavors.
Elaine, hey, Coach Mack here. I just want to say thank you, for the job that you've done serving so many student-athletes and so many teams.
Elaine, thank you for all of your energy and effort over the last 22 years as our faculty athletic rep.
We really will miss you and your involvement with our program and the whole athletic department. Go Cards.
We sincerely appreciate all the efforts you've made, and I hope you and Barry have had a little fun along the way.
Job well done.
I don't care if there's echo, I am applauding. And then Elaine, if you will bear with us for one more second. All right. Just if everybody would bear with me. Yeah. Elaine Wise, this is a very small token of gigantic appreciation for you. 22 years of dedication and service. What did they say? Athletic royalty? I'm going to change that to U of L royalty, because you've had an impact all across this university. And so Barry, when she comes home tonight and this evening, please remember, it's Your Majesty when you talk to Elaine.
Yes, Barry, do remember that.
Elaine, would you care to make a couple of remarks?
I think I'm muted. Let me unmute. Okay, I can't unmute. Unmute.
All I was saying, if you didn't hear me while we unmute, is that Barry better remember in addressing Elaine tonight that it's Your Majesty.
Elaine, we're picking you up when you talk, though, when you're on mute. Yeah.
Unmuted.
Neely, mute your.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all so very much. I was so looking forward to reading you every word of this report, but I am going to presume that you will read it on your own. And like Neely, I do want to thank a whole lot of people, all the wonderful people who helped make that video, and all of you board members and former board members who've been so much a part of the vibrant and really wonderful athletic program that we have had and that we continue to have at the University of Louisville. I know of no other university where academics is so well respected and integrated into the full life of every single member of the athletic department. That's a message that doesn't always get out. It's a message that is really hard, perhaps, to convince people is the truth, but it is, and I couldn't be prouder of the years of service that I've had and the opportunities I've had to meet so many wonderful student athletes. They are my legacy. They are the legacy of all of us, and they represent us so wonderfully, both in the community and across the world. I do thank Vince, who brought some cupcakes that I could share with all of you were you here. But since you're not, I will take them home and chomp on them for you. Again, I want to thank Shelley and Michael Vore, Shelley Santry and Michael Vore, who are going off of the Committee on Academic Performance. They are terrific people, and we will miss them. I want to welcome, we have 2 new members who will be joining our CAP meeting. Our last CAP meeting is next Thursday, and we are looking forward to welcoming them. But most of all, I want to welcome Krista Wallace-Boaz. I know Krista is on the call, hopefully she can turn her camera on and say hello. Krista, are you there?
There
she is.
I'm here. Hello. So excited to work with each of you.
I want you to be as good to her as you've been to me. You've been wonderful. Neely, Jake, certainly everybody in the president's office. Vince, you're a prince. I knew it the day I met you, but now I know it's true. I want everyone to go out of his or her way to teach, to welcome Krista. She's got all the experience that will make her a wonderful FAR. I couldn't be happier. So I thank you. I thank you for the gift. I thank you for your loyalty. I thank you for your cooperation. I thank you for your goodwill. And now I need to go home and work on my courses for fall because they have to be partially done online.
Right.
Thank you all so very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Elaine. Oops. Thank you so much, Elaine. I do want to thank Jake Beamer and Ryan McDaniel, who have been working so hard with me and all of you in setting up all of these meetings. So I want to thank them. At our next meeting, you will certainly hear from Krista. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. That concludes my report. I appreciate your patience with all of us. I'm always ready to call Elaine, Queen Elaine, but Vince is not getting Prince Vince from me. No way. So with that, I just want to say thank you, everybody. It's been a tough time for all of us, but I have an amazing team, and all of you, by giving your time and your effort and being such incredible counselors and friends and support to me and to this entire university. Thank you. Thank you. We truly cannot do this without you. So having no other business to come before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn? Fabulous.
Shelley Santry, so moved.
And then Michael Vore, please accept my apologies. I have been, as I said, it's not good, but honestly, it's felt like a nonstop 24 hours, and I jotted down names, and my apologies. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
No worries.
I know you understand as a faculty member these times and what happens. So thank you. And with that,
I may not have made as big of an impression as Shelley. I understand that.
I'm not going there.
Wow.
So I will tell you that no, I'll have to see that. I have to think about it for a day to come up with a comeback. So I have none. We had Elaine motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please signify aye.
Aye. Everyone.
Thank you so much, and the meeting is adjourned. Please be safe and go Cards.